Welcome into the Mountaineers Now postgame show presented by Country Roads Air Duct Cleaning. I'm Schuyler, Callihan, and joined with me is Eugene. Napoleon, West Virginia falling to Penn State in the season opener 38-15. And before we get into our deep thoughts here, a quick look at the stats. Garrett Green going 16 of 27 for 162 yards. He also ran for 71 yards and 15 carries and a touchdown. CJ Donaldson led the way on the ground with 81 yards and a touchdown. And then for Penn State, Drew Aller, what a day. He had 21 of 29 for 325 and 3 scores. He was nearly perfect. And when you look at the team stats, Penn State really just kind of had a balanced day offensively. 332 through the air, 146 on the ground, played a clean game, only one penalty, where West Virginia was fairly clean in the first half, but ended up having 5 on the day. So, Gene, initial thoughts on this one?
It's actually hard to put it into words. When I look at this team, I see that this team has a lot of character as far as a lot of fight, a lot of grit. They didn't give up, and I could appreciate that. I'm not too much into moral victories, but I'm glad they didn't give up. You have 110,000 people, stacked, packed in that freaking stadium. So it's easy to get down and not play the way that you need to play in those circumstances. But, they kept it close. I mean, the plan was to try to keep it close going into the fourth quarter and then see what happens. But let me tell you something. Penn State is ranked number 7th in the country for a reason. That's a well-coached football team. So I said in a number of posts prior to this game, we would have to play mistake-free football to have a chance, okay? The score is not indicative of this game. I'm going to say the coaching is indicative of this game, if that makes sense. Yep. For me, whenever your head coach is also the OC, I'm sorry, that's a red flag for me personally. At this level, this game, there's too many nuances at this level where you're having to do double duty. It's really difficult to pull off. It really is. So I'm not sure. Maybe Neal needs to find himself a really good OC. I'm not sure. And you can hear, I'm disappointed. I just think, if anything, this game shows me that if we're healthy, if we play well, we'll win our fair share of games. There's no Todd Blackledge, I believe, said the same thing on air. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah.
Once again, the coaching for me is not of the level where it needs to be to get our Mountaineer program back to where it needs to be. And I'm saying it. I'm calling it out for what it is.
It is. I mean, you look at the way that they called the first, or the way Neal called those first 2 drives. I mean, I get you want to lean on the run game. You want to lean on that offensive line that is so veteran laden, but you have to throw the ball a little bit, right? You can't just be handing it off to CJ Donaldson or letting Garrett Green take off with his legs every single play. I mean, when they did throw the ball, I think they had 2 passes or maybe 3 passes in those first 2 drives. Not one of those went beyond the line of scrimmage. They were the screens, tunnel screens, balls out in the flat. Like, you've got to push the ball downfield. I'm not saying you have to throw a go ball, Devin Carter, or a post route or anything like that. Just something over the middle. Penn State, that whole first half, that's all they were doing was just running crossers all game long. And that was enough for them to make plays and make plays after the catch. West Virginia, it was like a struggle for them to get open because they were running everything so designed and so deep down the field, and the pass protection really wasn't there. I mean, when you have that good of a defense like Penn State has, you're not going to have time. So it honestly kind of looked like Garrett Green in that first half. He was just uncomfortable in the pocket. Like, it looked like as soon as he got the ball, he was ready to make a decision. I'm either throwing it now or I'm running with my legs. And you can't have your quarterback playing like that. So that's a big problem. The receivers dropped a few passes, which continues to be an issue. Garrett Green missed a couple of throws where he threw the one behind Traylon Ray on 4th down. He threw a ball that was a screen to Devin Carter's a completion, but the way he threw it, it was behind him, so he couldn't really make anything out of it. And then I think, to me though, in that first half, like it just felt like Neal Brown was trying not to let the thing get out of hand early,
Right.
right? And that's the problem for me. When you have this opportunity, you have to take chances. You have to throw the ball downfield maybe once every 12, 15 plays. You can't just hammer the run constantly.
Right.
You have to be a little aggressive. You're not going to win this game. And as you just said, Todd Blackledge, I thought he did great tonight on the call. He was saying a lot of things that I agreed with, and that's you can't just go 20 play drives, 20 play drives, 20 play drives against that defense. You got to hit an explosive every once in a while, and they just weren't dialing that up.
We're going to see right now where we really are. Like I said, and this is no disrespect to a Duquesne program or whatever the case may be. Whatever. You beat Duquesne, okay, whoop-de-doo. But then you're home against Pittsburgh, right? And then
Yep.
you're home, I believe, against Texas Tech. Okay. All that is all well and fine. We've said this earlier in the week. You cannot start this season 1-3.
1-2 or 1-3.
Right. You can't, right? Or even if you started 2-2, to be honest with you, those are small sample sizes of what you really have.
Yeah.
Because now it comes down to how you win or how you lose a game.
Sure does.
So it's almost like that's really what it is. So yeah, it's beyond me to say. I'm looking at this particular football team and it's hard to make a comparison and say what we're going to be after just one game.
Yeah.
All right. But I am impressed with the fact that we're scrappy. I think our defense did not lay down. I just think you saw towards the end of the third and going into the fourth quarter a very tired defense.
Yeah, I mean they had to make plays. I mean, yes, they gave up some chunk yardage at times, but they found ways to limit Penn State the field goal tries, and luckily they missed those two kicks in the first half, and it was only a one-score game going into the break. And if you're Neal Brown, I mean, you as an offense have to take advantage of those missed kicks. That's the only way you're going to win these types of games or even have a chance to hang in these types of games. So that's problematic. The offense is a mess, and in my opinion, is a mess in the passing game. It doesn't feel like there's a clear answer at receiver. That was the big question mark going into the season. There's not a one, there's not a two, there's not a three. Who's going to emerge there? I don't know. Right now, Cole Taylor, the tight end, may be the best receiving threat that they have. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. The other one thing I wanted to bring up was the 4th-down-and-2 call. I mean, Gene, what the hell? I mean, you have your backup quarterback on the bench the entire game, okay? Red shirt freshman who's barely played. Yet you're going to bring him in to run not only a 4th-down play at midfield, no less, but to run a trick play on 4th-down-and-2 at midfield in a game in the situation where you either make it and you hang in the game a little longer or the game's over right there. So
Absolutely.
and what happened? Exactly what you think would happen in that situation. Turnover on downs.
Let me tell you something, Schuyler. That would happen in Pop Warner football.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's where I'm sensitive to the players, because then you'll hear the fans complain about the players not making plays. No, I'm putting that on the coach. That's a horrible call. It's a horrible call. It's a horrible, play to put this particular young man in that position to begin with. What were you thinking? And this is what I'm talking about when I say I hang that on the coach. Should have never been called. And
Right.
you're 100% right. You bring this young man in the game in that situation, that's the first time he's seeing action, and this is what we're going to call. On a 4th-and-2, which at that particular point, there's a few things that could have happened had you converted, had you called a real play to convert. And you take it from there. But to call that play, it's indicative, and it shows you exactly where we are with a coach who does not really have the confidence. and I'm not even going to say the confidence. You know what I'm going to say, Schuyler? I don't think Neal Brown's a great guy. He is. We always say that. Everything he's doing outside of winning in Morgantown has been great. The community service, the graduation rate, these young men coming in and doing what they need to do. They're stand-up young men. That's excellent, right? But if you don't win football games, all of that is pushed to the right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Coach Brown, not the man, not the individual Neal Brown. Coach Brown is not ready for prime time at this level. Yeah, I said it. He's not ready for prime time at this level. He'll probably be a very, very good FCS coach.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's again, maybe we are wrong, but this is a very talented Penn State team, and who knows? This may be a team that goes on to get to the college football playoff, or who knows what their season lies ahead. But for West Virginia, you got to look in the mirror, and what you do there on 4th and 2, and what you do after the 2 missed field goals by Penn State to not respond, to not even really put anything together for that matter, that is a concern. And again, we hear all the time these coaches, they have this cliche speech of you got to put guys in position to succeed. That's the definition of not putting a guy in a position to succeed.
Absolutely. Well, here's my point. I make that point based on the records.
Yeah.
I make that coaching point based on the snapshot of the last few years. So I'm not making that point just on this 38-15 loss to the number 7th ranked team in the country right now. Penn State is a good football team. We all know that. We knew they were a good football team coming into this game.
Yeah.
Right. I make that statement because I felt that way over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm arriving at that particular statement. And again, it's not personal. I'm only looking at what we've been doing or what we have not been doing over the last few years. And that's winning football games at the rate as to which we're accustomed to winning football games. And that's 7, 8, 9 games a year. That's all I'm saying. Great guy off the field. I'm not sure. Okay. So as a coach, we're going to have to do better if we're expecting to get back to where we need to be. Mountaineer Nation, I'm sure right now is not happy with the results of tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, again, when you have this opportunity on the road in front of 110,000, number 7 team in the country, and you're only down 7.5, and for you to end up losing this one by 23, I mean, you know that there was a chance that the floodgates could open at any given point, but the way that they opened, to me, and that's kind of what we talked about before the game, how does the loss happen? If there is a loss, how does it happen? And I think that's the biggest thing that we took away from this is just how that did happen. It was something that they could have controlled. So Eugene and I will be back at it earlier next week sometime, and we'll dive more into this. I'll be back tomorrow morning for the morning after show, and then we'll be back and off and running for our normal stuff. So quick look here at the road ahead for West Virginia before we get out of here. Next week, they will be on ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock for the home opener against Duquesne. Again, that should be a very easy gimme win for West Virginia to get back to 1-1, and then the following week they will host Pitt for the backyard brawl at 7:30 on ABC. So we've talked about it many times, Gene. This is going to be a crucial month of September for not only this program but for Neal Brown. It's off to a sour start, but there's still 4 games left in this month for them to right the ship. So we'll see what happens. And that's going to do it for us today. So for Eugene, Napoleon, I'm Schuyler Callihan. You've been watching the Mountaineers Now postgame show presented by Country Roads Air Duct Cleaning. We will see you guys tomorrow morning on the morning after.